Hello. This video is about the financial system and how the financial system was literally screwing the masses at the benefit of the classes, and how where we're going is a more fair and balanced economic system, which is not crypto. And I'm going to explain why it's not Bitcoin. So, first, the background of how the financial system was set up as a tool of control. So, we have had, or we have now, a debt-based money system. That means the central bank issues debt. When they create new money, you can go to the economic, the St. Louis Fed has an economic data unit, or you can go to markets.macrotechtitan.com. I put some data there. When the Fed creates money, they create debt, which creates liabilities. They never create money, meaning someone has to pay back that debt. So they issue the debt to the banks, from the Federal Reserve to the banks, and from the banks to the people directly, but more often than not to institutions like the government. So the government takes on all this debt, and they spend the money, but they have to pay it back. It becomes a liability on their balance sheet. Now the U.S. government is a unique situation because they really, they they authorize the Fed to create the U.S. dollar, so they borrow this money, and yeah, they have to pay it back, but they could just monetize that. I mean, they really never have to pay back that debt. And the irony is, if all the U.S. dollar debt was paid off, money would cease to exist, because it's all debt-based currency. So it's a closed loop. It's a game of hot potato that let's say you take a small example. The Fed creates $1,000. There's only $1,000 in the system. They give it to ABC Main Street, Paper Street Soap Company. So now that Paper Street Soap Company has the $1,000 in cash, but they have to pay it back $1,000. So they have to take that $1,000 and they have to make soap and sell it, but they can't sell it to consumers because the consumers don't have any money. Remember, in this virtual system, there's only $1,000. So what they can do, they can loan money to consumers, like you have a Macy's credit card. So they can lend to create consumers who will then give them the 1,000 back. But there's interest over time. So they're not paying $1,000. Did you ever look at your mortgage or your car payment? This is the amount you actually paid back. So in other words, that 1,000 cannot be paid back, because you have to create more money that doesn't exist in the system in order to pay it back. Now, you can create more loans, but that will just further the pressure of that 1,000 that needs to be paid back. It's mathematically impossible for those loans to be paid off, because you can't. Only one institution can create U.S. dollars, and that's the Federal Reserve. So the only way you could theoretically pay it back is if you could create your own U.S. dollars. So it doesn't matter about sales, marketing, your credit score. All that's just artificial. It guarantees bankruptcy, default, and pain and suffering. Okay, and we didn't even talk about inflation. This is just how money is created. So it's a tool of control, because I'm a consumer. I want to buy, let's say, food. I don't have any money. In our virtual example, there's $1,000, remember. So I have to go to the bank and say, Mr. Bank, I need $100 to go to the grocery store. They say, sure, we'll loan you the $100, but with interest. So now I have to go get a job to pay back not only the principal, but also the interest. So let's say I get a job at the bank, and the bank says, well, we're only going to pay you $50 salary. So where am I going to get that $50 extra money, plus I have to pay the interest? I can get a second job, but there's got to be enough employers in the economy to provide money to hire those people. So that's why there's unemployment. That's why there's always going to be this part of the economy that is in bankruptcy, is in default. Whether they're individuals or corporations, it doesn't matter, because it's a limited sum game designed to basically enrich the classes and screw the masses, for lack of a better word. I don't know how else to say it. The second part of that control system is inflation. So it's another game of hot potato. The price of goods are going up slowly. I mean, 10% a year or whatever. I mean, it's not like Bitcoin. I mean, it's slowly going up. So you have to make more money every year just to pay for the same amount of goods and services, especially like food and energy, utilities, stuff like that. Ironically, they exclude food and energy from the CPI numbers, so that's got to tell you something right there. But basically, between the debt-based money system and then the artificially created inflation, and how is inflation created artificially? Very simply, when they create new money as debt, that money filters into the system and they control that completely. Like during COVID, they created like $15 trillion and that flood into the system. And what happens, it creates prices of assets go up. Now, this does two things. Number one, it makes it more difficult for the working class to afford life. Number two, it makes the wealthy more wealthy because the wealthy have assets and those assets become inflated. So you have two things. You have consumer good inflation coupled with asset inflation. The asset inflation is good if you have assets, but the working class doesn't have any assets, except for maybe Apple stock in a 401k, which is meaningless. The wealthy own 98% of all the assets on earth. We're talking businesses, land, commercial real estate, businesses, stocks, whatever, asset, gold. They all pick their poison. They all own different things, but it's asset inflation. And just everything. I mean, went to a movie the other day. It was like $50 per person. I mean, it was like a 3D thing, but anyway, I think it was like 90 even with the child, it was over $100 for 3 tickets. You know, it's crazy. And Regal's bankrupt. They can't even make money. You know, the whole system is designed for bankruptcy. But on the other side of that, you've got a small amount of the system controlled by the elites that's making an absolute fortune. You know why you never heard a billionaire gone bankrupt? Unless you're in real estate, like Trump declared bankruptcy a couple times. Because real estate is a tough thing. You always have big loans involved and stuff like that. But typically, like in most cases, someone like Bill Gates or any of these elites, you never heard them like they're bankrupt. And the reason is because once you hit a certain threshold, and we can argue about what that is, whether it's 10 million or 50 million, it doesn't matter. You start making investments and you have a financial advisor, and it doesn't really matter what decisions you make. I mean, you can just throw crap at the wall. You make one investment in Uber, just accidentally. It was 1,000,000% return. And the elite always don't get it right. Obviously, they lose money. They suffer losses. I think all the elites, a lot of elites backed FTX, which failed. And they might have even got their money, or a greater majority of that back. But anyway, overall, if you look at what they do, they average 30, 40, 50% a year, even with all the losers. And I wrote a book, Investor's Guide to Legal Insider Trading, showing people how they can do it too. I mean, it's no secret. But the problem is not knowing the secrets of Wall Street. The problem is having millions to invest. So if you don't have millions to invest, you can read the book, and you need a capital base to start with to do that. If you have a capital base, the system works good for you because it's easy to inflate your assets and become wealthy. Getting there, they put it all against you, and that's why I always say the best way, if you don't have assets, the best thing you can do is make an investment in yourself, in your trade. Whether you're a plumber or a scientist or a teacher, it doesn't matter. In the future, AI is going to drive the salaries of manual workers through the roof. It's also going to drive the wages of skilled people, whatever that skill is. And I'm talking skilled labor. It doesn't have to be, I mean, you could be an artist. It doesn't mean you have to be a computer scientist. It means any trade. Anything where you have a little bit of skill. I mean, a skill that cannot be replicated. Like, for example, AI cannot make music. AI cannot make art. AI cannot dig a ditch. There are thousands of things AI cannot do. Those sectors, AI cannot teach a class. AI cannot have a relationship with another human. AI cannot do all these things. What it's very good at is creating computer code or processes, manufacturing, things that are robotic, and we're hopefully soon going to have agri robots that in agritech, what's it called, ag tech, where AI, or not AI, but robots, farms are going to be semi-automated. And I've seen some of this with the vertical underground farming. But the bottom line is, there is a way to get assets if you have no assets. And that's why I say make an investment in yourself, whatever that may be. I've taken in the past 2 years just tons of Udemy courses on all kinds of things. I learned music. I learned how to use Adobe After Effects. It's just something I've always wanted to do. It doesn't have any use in my job or anything. I like graphics and animation. It's just fun. And I'm doing a course on how to make movies. I'd like to get into film. It's just fun. You know, the point is I think these courses are like $10, $15, $20. And there's hundreds of hours of content. There's so much to learn out there. I would say invest in yourself. That's the best thing that you can do, because no matter where you go, you have yourself is always with you. And so that's powerful. So that's where we've been. Now, where we're going is a more fair-based system. And the elites are going to have a rude awakening. They're not going to lose money. It's not going to be like a financial crash. But it's also not going to be like Bitcoin. And here's the thing. I think I follow a lot of different sources. Every analyst has to have different sources, a variety of sources that are unique. In other words, if you're really an analyst, you've got to come up with unique intelligence, which isn't mainstream, even if it's alternative mainstream. Like people that just follow Alex Jones and then have some kind of discovery because of something he says. That's cool, but you're not really an analyst. If you're really a good analyst, you should have lots of different kinds of sources, even maybe mainstream sources. It's not about that. Or a journalist. And so I plug into all kinds of different intelligence. And I've always felt that, well, first of all, I don't like Bitcoin. I think it's going to zero eventually. Maybe not this year, but at some point it's going to go to zero because of the energy and cost in US dollars that it costs to maintain the network at these levels. I mean, to be fair, it's not going to zero. It might go to $50 or something. But it shouldn't be 100,000 or 67,000. Bitcoin was created by the elites as another Ponzi scheme, like the US dollar. It's not death-based money, but it is a Ponzi scheme nonetheless, because of the fact that you have to mine Bitcoin using electricity. And the price went up, and it's so volatile, the volatility, and the fact that it's pseudo-anonymous. You can actually identify people's locations when they use Bitcoin if you have government computers. So that's super interesting. But any currency that makes people billionaires and makes other people poor, and I know hundreds of people. I know one Indian guy that lost $25 million buying Bitcoin, lost his house, ended up being homeless, couch surfing. And this was a rich Silicon Valley guy. This wasn't some maniac. It just has made people into these, whatever you want to call it. No offense to anyone, but like when this last Bitcoin crash happened, there were 2,000 suicides in the whole planet. Think about that. And some of these people said, well, I didn't know it could go down. And they smashed their computers, and it's just made people crazy. At the same time, if you were in on the scam, you could have bought it $1, held till now, and you could make billions of dollars. And there's been some people cashing out these zombie accounts from 2010 in the last year or so. And there's a system that watches that. So Bitcoin is not the solution. Stablecoins are not the solution. The solution is a fair and balanced system that distributes resources according to an optimization algorithm. And I'm working on something. There's probably lots of thousands of people working on something similar. The point is, the solution is the same. Anyone who develops this system cannot get rich from it, just prima facie. That means whoever developed Bitcoin, Satoshi or whoever has those original keys, is a multi-billionaire. Anybody who develops a real currency that's fair and balanced and optimized for the planet cannot, by definition, become a billionaire through that process, or else the system is garbage. Because we have a billionaire elitist system. That's a tool of control. What we need is something that facilitates trade, allows people to have decent wages, and allows the rich to get rich. So I'm not excluding the elites. What I'm saying is you need a system that does everything, not just that does one thing. The system previously was disbalanced. That means it made one group of people rich, and the other 99%, it was continually putting pressure on them to do more, to work harder. It was a slave system. What we need is something which is optimized. It will do both. It will support the workers and make them work better and harder and with better quality. At the same time, it will allow rich assholes to become even more rich and buy more planes and boats that they will never use, and buy more things that they will never even see. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with business. And the reason that the elite put this, it's basically a psyop. It's like capitalism versus communism. You've got to use the slave system or it's communism. That's just nonsense. So the solution is something that's mathematical, that you can create a system. And I can give some examples of what I've done, and I'm not the smartest guy in the room. So we can use computers to create a system that, imagine you go into Walmart and you're going to buy your goods, or you go into your local grocery store and you pay. But instead of choosing the prices, you just choose what you want. Like there's no prices. You choose, I need bananas and 5 other things. And you can choose as much as you want. And then when you pay, it's going to say, well, that's going to be like $20. And you're like, okay. But the money is calculated in the price. The value of the money is connected to the price, not the other way around. Because in the way it was the opposite, and that's where everyone gets screwed. And they put the pressure on you, like, oh, can I really afford socks? No, we're gonna have to just go barefoot this week. You know, that's putting the pressure on the underclass to suffer. It's like the foot on your neck approach. And this has been going on for thousands of years, since Egypt, this system. But in the future, it's going to be more calculated according to not what you need. It's not about that. You're going to be able to, the abundance that's coming is going to be just overwhelming. People are going to have burnout. There's going to be so many things. Like, I don't know if you ever experienced this around Christmas. Did you ever have a huge Christmas budget or a lot of shopping to do for a lot of different people? And at the end of the day, you've bought 20, 30 presents, whatever, ordered things on Amazon, wrapped gifts. You're just tired of shopping. I mean, at some point, people are going to have shopping exhaustion. If, let's say, every U.S. citizen had an unlimited black card with no limit on it right now, people would run to the stores and just start buying things. And the stores will be sold out. Then they'll get more goods. Then they'll wait the next day. But at some point, I don't know how long it will take, but at some point, people will get tired. They'll have shopping exhaustion. I mean, then you bring all the things home. Then you have to open up everything. You have to plug it in. You have to configure it. You have to throw away the garbage. I mean, people are not going to, it's not going to be like anarchy like people think. So that's what's coming. So what's coming is a more fair system. And I've heard things like buy silver, buy XRP. I own physical silver. I mean, it's not a bad idea to own metals physically, or some XRP. Why not? I mean, it's not hurting anything. But definitely anything that's not the US dollar, because the fiat system is definitely, it's not going to collapse. It is collapsing, and it has been collapsing. And this is the important distinction versus some people who talk about this financial collapse. The financial collapse has been happening. It's the US dollar going to zero. The reason we have inflation, they're phasing out the US dollar because prices going up. They're not, assets aren't going up. The US dollar is going down. I forgot what I want to say earlier. So I read all this alternative news as an analyst. This QFS system that they're talking about is a total psyop. That's nonsense. There's not going to be any like financial switch. That's not going to happen. I I read some military intelligence around 2020-ish when I was kind of spooked in that time around the direction we were going. And I did some prepping, and now I feel much better. Now I feel like we're on a solid, positive timeline, and it doesn't really matter what we do. But around that time, I was really freaking out. So I looked at a lot of different things, and there was this intelligence that said there's a group of white hats that are really good people. Call them benevolence, call them whatever you want. Humans, ETs, just a group of white hats that really support humans, society. It's not an American thing. It's a whole, it doesn't matter what country you're from, what race you are. It's a pro-human group. And they're powerful military people. And they did these simulations, like game planning. And they had one scenario where they're going to use the emergency broadcast system to broadcast all this Epstein evidence over 20 hours to people. And they actually found if they did that, there would be millions of suicides. People would just freak out, like, eh. So they didn't do that. And they chose a way to, like, there's never going to be, they game planned that out where there's going to be hangings of people who did bad things, public hangings, stuff like that. Because people want revenge. I mean, humans like revenge. But they game planned that and said it would be the best for society and the best for people overall. If you add it all up, it's a slow transition. It means we're not going to see any hangings, court-martials, people being arrested. I think quietly you're seeing, like, I just found out Sarkozy was in jail. I think you're seeing a lot of things happen just quietly. People being replaced, people dying, people just fading away, people changing. Maybe clones are involved. I don't know, but I think there's a quiet kind of reckoning happening. But the mainstream narrative is just shifting toward this positive thing. So I don't think we're going to see a financial crash where, like, the stock market crashes 50% in a day. I mean, that can happen. That can always happen. But I don't see that as... I see this, like, melt up continuing. Maybe we'll see some pullback, but stability is what they want. They want stability. They don't want volatility. So we're going to introduce these intelligent currencies and monetary systems to the point where at some point money will not exist. Like, it will become invisible. Money will become like energy. It'll be free. You can have as much as you want of it, and you can buy as many products as you want. And there'll be a transition where at first people just burn out. People, I remember one of my friends, this is a funny story, got a job in Wall Street. Was it not Bear Stearns, Kellogg, I think, I forget, but some big investment bank type of firm. And they gave him a credit card, and he could eat unlimited lunch, but he couldn't use the credit card for, like, other things. Like, if he went to lunch during a workday, he could spend as much as he want, no limit, but he couldn't, like, at night take the card and, like, buy, like, I don't know, a Nintendo or trains or something. So the first day he went and he bought, like, 10 hamburgers and didn't eat any of them. And you have that, and that's going to happen. But people will quickly, I don't want to say learn, but they will see that it's pointless to act like that. Like, you just get what you really need, one meal, and not 50 meals. You don't need 50 TVs. One TV per household is enough, or whatever. So there'll be a transition, but the people who are helping us, the good guys, and I think the kind of people with skin in the game, for lack of a better description, and smart people want stability. And central bankers also want stability, but for different reasons, because they don't want their system to crack, because the debt-based money system is actually very fragile. You can have run on the bank and stuff like that, and in fractional reserve, the banks could be the whole system could be turned upside down. So I think we're going to see a transition, and it's going to be up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years kind of time frame. Not decades, but starting this year, we're going to see this. And it's going to be towards another monetary system, not crypto. And it's going to be based on, it's not going to be based on money buying things. It's actually going to be the opposite. It's going to be resource driven. So the resources are going to come to people for free. Like energy, for example. Like, let's say you don't have to pay your energy bill ever. free, courtesy of the U.S. government. We have free energy, so no more energy bill. So now you've got another $400 to spend. So it's not like it's not going to be introduced like, here's a new crypto XRP and it's going to be the new currency and you're going to buy it and it's going to go up. That is a paradigm that's dying. So the whole speculating on investment markets, you're not going to need to, because there's going to be so much money for everyone that you're not going to need to, like, the old thinking was you got to screw the other guy because so that you don't get screwed, because a small amount of people made an inordinate, like, differential of wealth that so you had to kind of, it was like, because it's a Ponzi scheme. The whole system is a Ponzi scheme, and we're moving towards a fair system. So don't worry, enjoy the ride. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to have lots of updates. I've been working really hard building apps. You can go to markets.macrotechtitan.com. I built a whole life protocol system with longevity, lots of drink mixes, supplements, meditations, remote viewing, all kinds of stuff. Workflow music at lifehackprotocol.com. I appreciate you guys. Namaste. Have a great day.